I was in Vienna from May 31st to June 6th, 2018, and I don't have a whole lot to say about it besides that. I mean, you'll hear in the episode, but I don't have like any warnings or preambles or some stuff I want to take back in advance. A few things didn't make the episode. I went to like a theme park. I should have talked about that. That was pretty weird. And I got lost in the woods, which I guess just happens every time I try going on a hike in one of these countries, you know? You go for a hike in a country that you're not familiar with and then you get lost. Like, of course that's going to fucking happen. Anyway, nothing else to say. Enjoy the episode. I love you. Goodbye. Bad Travel Podcast. Now we have to remember how to fucking start.
Like
What?
you belching into the mic is a way to christen this episode.
That's pretty good.
Oh man,
It establishes a mood, right? I mean, it means I'm comfortable. I feel good. I'm healthy. I'm still here. I have a functioning digestive system.
Derek, where you at?
I am in Vienna, in Austria.
Vienna? What what brings you to Vienna?
Fuck you mean? I have a podcast. Well, I'll be honest. Here's the thing about Vienna, and here's the thing about a lot of the places I've been recently, is I show up to Europe, okay? I don't do any research, and then I see there are certain cities that are kind of along a rough path that I happen to be making, and so it's like, why wouldn't I stop in Vienna? If you type in like top cities in Europe, Vienna will be one of them. Why? I don't know. I just go there. Okay? I'm not here to question the algorithm. I don't know how cities are decided to be good or bad. But I figure if I'm going to pass through Austria, I got to go to Vienna.
No, I think it's fine. I was just wondering if
It's not like I went to Vienna for like a specific thing. I just show up places. I don't know. I don't even know what my life is anymore. I've been doing this for too long.
So you're saying you feel like a ghost?
What am I? I don't even know. I don't even know if like, am I a drug mule? Is this an experiment? Is someone chasing me? I can't remember.
Well, from what I heard, Vienna's cool. Is this true?
Why don't you expand on that? Why don't you tell me what it's like?
So, okay, so I know you're there and stuff. I mean, that's whatever. But I've read a lot of like Wikipedia articles on Vienna, mainly just one, the one about Vienna. And
It's more than I read.
from what I've seen, it's a town in Austria. That's about it. I don't really know anything else about it. Was Mozart from there?
I didn't see any Mozart shit, so maybe.
Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe they're embarrassed of Mozart.
I would be.
I should have stopped somebody on the street and been like, "What do you think of this Mozart character?" And they would have been like, "Oh, that fucking embarrassment. He sucks."
Beethoven's from there, right?
I don't know.
The dog Beethoven.
I feel like the dog Beethoven would have like huge statues if he were from Vienna.
I don't know. I know fuck all about Vienna, except that it's supposedly really nice. It's like nice in the sense that it's like livable or something. It always comes up in those lists where it's like, this is the most livable city, and it's like, what does that mean?
Yes, absolutely. That every time I look up like shit about Vienna, it's all the results are about that. It's the most livable city in Europe. It's the most livable city in the world, and all this stuff. And I get it. I get that vibe. Because if you walk around Vienna, the like
you're like, damn, I'm living.
I think the feeling you can walk away with if you're just in Vienna is that it's like very comfortable. It's cozy. It's nice, you know. There's a niceness to it. They got a bunch of restaurants. They got a bunch of buildings that look pretty. They got, you know, nice parks. It's nice. It's a nice place. It's fairly cheap. You know, and it's honestly the most powerful amenity of Vienna is like its location in Europe. It's like kind of close to everything. If you want to get out of Vienna, you can get out of Vienna and go to much cooler places. I'm not to start this with a dig at Vienna, but it's like I was in Vienna for a week, and you can kind of walk around and do shit and see shit, and Vienna's nice, but it's nice in kind of the way you say something is nice to be insulting. You know what I mean?
Like it has no features that stand
Like
out.
if you meet somebody and they were polite to you, but you don't know anything else about them, you can't say they're funny. You can't say they're smart. You can't say they're attractive. So you're like, they're nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like Vienna. Again, not to start this off with shitting on Vienna. I'm not shitting on Vienna. But it's very pleasant in a lot of ways. I had a good time, but I also met some people that live in Vienna, and they're like, yeah, we're on the way out because it's kind of boring.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Their
We're-
favorite thing to do is, I met these people and they travel like every weekend or every other weekend. They leave Vienna and they go to a place that's close by that's more interesting. Their favorite thing to do is travel.
Did you tell them it's the most livable city in the world?
Don't you idiots realize that you're living?
The
Why would
most?
you want to go live somewhere else?
You're
can
living
live
the
more
most.
here than you can anywhere.
Man,
Look, like, go to Vienna if you want to chill out, but the city kind of shuts down early in the evening, and I guess sometimes walking through Vienna, I feel like I'm walking through like a nice museum,
mhm.
and you look at stuff and it looks very nice, and you're like, oh man, this museum's great. I can't wait to fucking get out of here.
So where were the Viennese people that you met going? Where did they want to go to?
This is the thing. The people I met weren't Viennese. They were not Austrians. There were a couple, the girls from Germany, the guys from the United States. They also told me that if you're living in Vienna and you're not Austrian, it'll be hard for you because they're very inclusive. Like their social circles are very tight and they're formed before they get to Vienna. If you're a foreigner, you're probably just going to hang out with foreigners.
So it's cliquey. It's a cliquey city.
But it seemed like they enjoyed Vienna, and certainly like Vienna has things that would keep you there. There's a reason it shows up on livable cities.
I always check those lists to see where St. Louis is.
Not on the list.
Oh, it's on the list. It's toward the bottom. We usually beat Juarez, which is nice.
Don't start shit with Juarez.
Yeah. We beat Juarez in the most livable city index.
St. Louis
so.
just barely below that city in Russia where people live in a cave or whatever.
Norsilisk or whatever.
You know the one, yeah.
Yeah, it's our sister city.
Right. A lot of people moving from St. Louis to that city.
It's got an exciting nightlife, good food scene. St. Louis? No, Norsilisk. No, I think it's funny to check those lists too, because like American cities never really show up on them. It's usually like the cities that show up. They're like the first American city. I think it's like San Francisco, and it's in like the 30s.
But San Francisco doesn't belong on that list anyway, because you have to be like a millionaire to live there in the first place.
Yeah, you do. It's like a gated community.
I think part of why those lists tend to be European is because it's just true that European cities are easier to live in certain ways. Like they've got better public transport and they've got like more public amenities, things that would make you want to stick around and live in a place. Whereas like, look, I love Los Angeles, but you know, people move there and they fucking fall to pieces. Why? Living there can feel like a war. It can feel like it's like a struggle, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like most American cities they're below Los Angeles in terms of like public amenities and things to do. Fuck, is Columbus, Ohio livable? You know? Is Peoria livable? Is Paducah livable? No.
No, and no.
I mean, I don't know what metrics you decide
Yeah,
livability on, but as a smell test, somebody says, I'm living in Vienna, and your Midwestern in you probably says, must be nice.
It must be nice, yeah. I don't know. I guess, like, yeah, American cities just kind of suck. It's kind of crazy, though, if you think about, like, I guess, like, you know, it's the fact, I guess it's the richest country it's ever been. And, you know, all the cities are, like, parking lots.
It's weird, right? Because the thing about all these old European cities is a lot of what makes them cool are, like, these public works projects from, like, the fucking 17 and 1800s. Where, a fucking inbred king who was a bit touched in the head said we're gonna build bridges and churches and all this goofy shit, and they built a bunch of stuff that was like really cool, and the cities still enjoy those things today. Europe is full of like old, cool ass buildings, projects that define the character of the place. And in Asia, I would also say like currently they're kind of doing that. If you go to big cities in Asia, it feels like there's these public works projects that are like modern marvels of like transportation and engineering and whatever the fuck. And in the US, it's like, what the fuck are they doing? If we're the richest and the most powerful, what the fuck? Why don't we have more cool shit?
Yeah.
Build a temple or something. I don't know. Put a fucking fountain somewhere. Where's our cool shit? Why is there just an outlet mall?
Yeah.
Why do we have a Staples and we don't have a you know what I mean?
Yeah. We have
fucking destroy that and put up a big statue of an eagle.
It's like, what do we want to build? A big skyscraper for speculative real estate.
Yeah, I mean, and then all our public art is like, it's a sphere. Oh, great.
Yeah, it's a big balloon animal. It's outside the Chipotle. We're artistic.
This is a cylinder leaning on a triangle. Oh, okay. So just like the fucking easiest shit to make in your like 3D art program. Thank you. Definitely needed to have that in the town square.
Thank God we have artists to make this LED sign that says this is not art outside the DMV.
I'm not against like modern shit, and it's not like I'm saying we should just have like Renaissance era or neo-Renaissance type shit in America. You know, that would of course look corny and tacky and we'd fuck it up. But like, can't we do something that's like modern but still ambitious and still artistic? Like, can't we like have the world's biggest Chili's and on the side of it have like a painting of Donald Trump or something? I wouldn't even fucking like that. But like, let's do shit. You know what I mean? Let's. Why don't we have big things?
So there's this concept in French culture, which is like this idea. It's called a esprit, spirit, but like the idea is to build something grand, just to build grand structures and do things like in a way that's like gets some type of awe. That didn't make it over here.
We don't have that.
Just strip malls, and it's what's more frustrating is it's not just the built environment; it's people's reactions to it. Because like if you go and there's like, for example, if you go to Dallas, just strip malls everywhere. There's like 5 buildings downtown. The rest is just this expanse of like suburbanization that just goes on to the horizon. And you go up to someone, you're like, "Does this kind of fucking suck?" And they're like, "No, it's nice." It's like, oh.
I'm kind of wondering what the ruins of America
hope.
Are going to look like in 200 and 300 years. Like, what things are they going to point to and be like, this was a cool place? And right now, the only thing I can really think of is like water parks.
Yeah,
like if you
the thing about it is like nothing in this country is going to last 200 or 300 years. It's all made out of plywood. I think the only thing that'll be left will be like the Hoover Dam, and the people are like, wow, it's a big slab of concrete. That might be it.
Water parks might last because you can like dig them up and you'll see like the outline, and they'll be roped off, and a future like historian will point and they'll be like, that was the wave pool. That was where all the people in town would go and clean themselves.
No, that's it'll be like crazy speculation. It'll be like, and this is where they would kill people and fill the pool with blood, and then this mechanism would then make waves in it, and then they get tubes and float around in the blood. Or it might be like those shows where like they have that implied like European supremacy in it, where it's like, how did they build this shit in South America? Oh, aliens, Certainly they couldn't have done it.
Right. So North Americans could have never built this Taco Bell. It's too advanced.
It's too advanced. They're very primitive, warlike people. They were too busy building weapons. There's no way they could have built a Pizza Hut salad bar.
You go to a playground and it's like, well, what they would do is they would poop at the top of the slide, and the poop would slide down, and it would just gather along the bottom, and it would create these pyramids of poop, and people would make their houses out of it.
I bet.
I assume. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, the ruins of America. Just a Chuck E. Cheese covered in overgrowth.
And they worshipped him as a god, this Chuck E. Cheese and his band of animatronic musicians.
We're not sure the purpose of the building, but it appears they did some type of ritual sacrifice to a giant cartoon mouse.
You see, like, the Pizza Hut buildings in, like, every town that have been, like, converted to different restaurants and shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, that's the closest we have to ruins is when you drive by a place and you're like, that used to be a Pizza
Hut. I see it. It's a pizza. Watch the road. Look at it. Look at the Pizza Hut. Good place with lots of staying power
that's the thing too about like staying power is like with any of these cities I've been to, and you get the impression that looking at these beautiful old buildings that it's going to be here long after we're gone in some sense. There's going to be some of its essence here. And again, in the US it doesn't have an essence now. So what the fuck will be there when you know what I mean?
Probably nothing left after like even 100 years. You know, like there's no what is the equivalent of like a Great Wall of China is probably just like the Hoover Dam. It's probably the only.
But
thing
even then, like I've been to the Hoover Dam and it's like big and everything, but it doesn't look cool.
No, it's not cool.
You know, yeah, it's functional, which is fine.
Yeah, no, I don't mean.
Isn't that dam in China bigger?
Hell yeah, it is.
See, well then fuck the Hoover Dam. It's not even the best dam.
That's a hot take, Derek.
Why do I want to go see the second best dam?
Fuck the Hoover Dam.
I want to see a fucking second-rate shit dam.
Fuck the Hoover Dam.
You go to the Hoover Dam and they're like, oh yeah, 3 million people died making or whatever. Oh yeah, it has like a billion fucking tons of water and blah blah blah, and it's just like, but is it the biggest? And they're like, no. It's like, well, I'm fucking leaving then.
I love that too, like where they're like, yeah, a bunch of people fell into it and were entombed in concrete, and now their corpse in the concrete is used to hydronically power Las Vegas, where people lose all their money and futures.
It's a fucking machine of evil.
Let's drive across it, kids. Yeah.
Hooray! Here, buy a magnet, okay? Yeah, these workers were paid pennies a day for like back-breaking labor, and they died. Cool. And is it the biggest dam? No, it's not. Then fuck you. They died in vain, you son of a bitch. If I died, but it was to make the biggest dam, I can honestly say that I would be thrilled.
Yeah, well, that's how we all want to go.
If I died to make the second biggest dam, I would want my death to be avenged.
Gentlemen, no one can know what's going to happen here today. No one. You're going to be building the second biggest dam. Oh, I'm out. Fuck this. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. You're going to be building the 37th largest dam in the world. You should be proud. That's a very large prime number.
Oh, don't cry. Come on. It's not so bad. No, I wanted to build the biggest one.
I'll say this. I'll say it for myself. Like I don't see anything that actually looks like it's worth even remembering in the United States. You know what I mean? I don't pass by things and I'm like, yes, that's where the Grand Duchy of Canterbury fought Napoleon in a thumb war. You know, it's like, no.
Right.
That's where a guy dealt fentanyl. That's where a guy closed a deal to open his third McDonald's franchise.
That's where a used car salesman beat a hooker to death. and every time we pass by it, we salute him because he was also a former U.S. Marine.
Semper Fi.
There's the illegal dog pound.
It's fucking doomed. It's so fucked.
In a lot of ways, the world is adapting to what we've laid down. They're picking up what we're putting down. Just because America looks like shit doesn't mean that America's doomed. It might just look like the whole world will look like America soon, and that'll be it.
Hooray.
I would actually say that is part of the character of Vienna. and it might even be why it ends up on these livable cities list, is because you do have the cool old architecture in a lot of the city. You have these winding boulevards and, immaculate stone streets or whatever the fuck. You have all the nice historical stuff, but if you walk into like the old town, it's completely commercialized. Like, it looks like they lifted part of America and just plopped it down in Austria. You've got like fucking H&M, Starbucks, McDonald's, Gucci, whatever, and they all have like bright lit neon signs. And that's where most of the people are in the city. The rest of the city is just where people live. They're nice little places. They're old buildings. They're beautiful looking. You go into the old town, quote unquote, and across from like some fucking church built by some guy, it's like, they have a whole story about it. Across from that is like the hot dog stand or whatever. That's where the tourists are. That's where everybody is. So you've got the old and the new mixed together. And I don't know why you're sighing. It's nothing to be sad about. Part of the reason these old buildings get to be maintained is for the tourists that come to eat at McDonald's.
I know.
It's a trade. It's like a deal with the devil. The reason we don't have the nice shit in America is we don't have a history of it. Here, the reason they take care of it is because of the idiots coming and buying stupid shit.
You're right, Derek.
It's a beautiful thing.
I mean, how does Vienna compare with the other Central European cities? Vibe-wise?
It is kind of similar. I would say that Vienna feels more commercialized than Budapest. I mean, they're both commercialized, of course. But Vienna does feel a bit more, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on Vienna. I had a good time. There's some tackiness here. I don't know why.
Oh, cool. What's the tackiness?
Well, again, it's just like when you go into the old town and it's like full of tourists and like high-end fashion shit. Vienna and Austria are like kind of cheap. All the tourist shit is like catered to like people willing to spend a bit more money to see touristy shit. They love touristy shit. It's a touristy type of area in the old town. Outside of that, I mean, it does just feel like a nice Austrian city, a cool, nice Austrian city. It's tough too because like the tackiest shit is next to the stuff you would most want to see be not tacky.
Like a cathedral or something?
Right. I was thinking a minute ago I said something about why don't we have the world's biggest chilies with Donald Trump painted on the side. And I was thinking about like I've been in these different European cities and they're always like, oh yeah, this king, the greatest king, he built all these things. And it's like, I don't know a lot about history, but like the king that built all this shit was probably an asshole, First of all, he was a king, so he couldn't have been that great, He was a monarch. And then he made a bunch of people labor to build some fucking beautiful, impressive piece of shit. So, like, I guess my point is, if Donald Trump did build the world's biggest chilies and painted himself on the side, in 200 years, people would be like, yeah, Donald Trump was great.
Well, they're going to do that anyway, no matter what he does. So, I feel like totally make him not a reality TV show game host. Be remembered as like I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I think he's gonna supplant Reagan as like the mythic god character. Like when like Trump passes away, they're gonna go like you go to the RNC and it'll be because like Reagan was like one epoch of the Republican Party. Trump will be the next. So like it'll be like it'll be like 20, 30 years from now. It'll be like politicians will be like, no, I'm the most like Trump. No, I am. Kind of like they did with Reagan. It'll be cool.
But are you or are you not for my idea of building the world's biggest chilies? I feel like you're evading the question. If it were built out of like fucking old stones and it had stained glass windows, you know what I mean? And you got all the world's best artists together and they made a beautiful picture of Trump and he's like in a fucking toga for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be great.
Yeah, I would probably definitely eat spinach artichoke dip at a place like that.
I'd get some mozzarella sticks, spinach artichoke dip, buffalo blaster slider, some potato wedges, and that's just a start.
I was thinking about this the other day, Derek, because we always talk about like just brands and corporations. And I was thinking, like, if someone was more cynical and listened to this shit, they'd be like, wow, they fucking sold out so hard. And it's like, no, it's just that our brains have been completely corrupted by brands.
I recognize brands instead of, like, constellations of the stars. Like, this is, you know what I mean?
Yes. It's like that. It's just our fucking brains have been pulverized by commercials and advertising and just fucking brands.
This was, that shit was put in my brain before I knew it was happening. By the time I became an adult, it was too late.
To go back to your question, yes, half off apps at the Castle Applebee's with Trump's picture would be nice, and I'm for it.
People would. I'm just saying, if you want a legacy, you do something like that, because even the like most tyrannical, batshit insane, fucking mutant kings that, like, their parents were brother and sister or something. They came out, they got a fucking lumpy head. If they told their servants build a big thing, everyone's like, wow, this guy rocks. This guy made all the big things happen. That's how history remembers you, as a guy that rocks. Mm. No matter what else, you fucking executed half the people in your village. It didn't matter. They remember the cool church.
Mm-hmm.
They remember the bridge with gargoyles on it or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Louis XIV bankrupted France. Everyone remembers Versailles. It checks out.
I also think bankrupting France is cool.
I mean, what he did, like, eventually Louis XVI had to answer for, right? And Marie Antoinette and a lot of other people.
Okay, so you know what I did the other night? First time I ever did this, I went to the opera, the Austrian State Opera House.
How was that? Did you get those, like, tiny opera binoculars?
No, because when I showed up...
did you show up in a t-shirt and jeans?
Yes, I did, but they didn't keep me out.
Okay.
I showed up, and what I saw was that the tickets are like 200 plus euros. So I thought, I guess I will not be going to the opera.
You're just in the parking lot listening to Pavarotti, seeing Sugar Ray.
But they have this cool thing. You can, if you go around back, there's
a fire exit that they keep open.
There's a window that you can easily break. If you go around back, they have another different entrance, a different ticket booth, and it's for standing tickets. And you got to wait for like 2 hours or something. But if you go to this entrance, you can get tickets for like 4 euros.
That's quite a jump.
It's a huge fucking jump. So I ended up paying 4 euros for my standing ticket, and I thought it was going to like suck, because it's a 4 euro ticket at the State Opera House. Was it going to be like in the basement or something, and I'm going to be like looking up through a vent? But we basically had our own section for people that are standing, and because I was kind of far up in the line, I was basically dead center, right behind the floor where the guys that paid 200 euros are. The only difference was I was on a raised balcony, and they were sitting, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I had an incredible, like, the best view. I could see the orchestra. I could see the full stage. I wasn't at a weird angle. I was, like, dead center. Why the fuck would you ever pay 200 euros when all you have to do is stand for 2 hours? It's, like, not a big deal.
Yeah, like, how did you like it? Is it the first opera you've been to?
Okay, so here's the other thing is, I didn't know this till the show started, but I did not attend an opera.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be an opera. Here's what it was. It was a ballet.
Okay. Is that the first ballet you've been to?
Yes, it is. So, kind of cross one off.
Did you like it?
Okay, I kind of did. Because it was, I don't know how to explain this. It was, like, funny.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should describe the Opera House, too, a little bit. The Opera House, the fucking Austrian State Opera House is beautiful. Gorgeous lighting. It's a work of art. Amazing sound, of course. And if you look around, there are a bunch of people, like, up in the balconies, and they're all fancy-looking people. That's my description of the Opera House. It looks like an opera house. And before the ballet started, there was, like, a lady who came who was a fancy lady, and she was like, you can't eat. If you leave in the middle of the show, you can't come back. Okay? You can't have your backpack out. This is the State Opera House. This is not the local movie theater. That's what she said.
Cool.
So I
fucking wish someone said that at the local movie theater.
Right. But it was good. I kind of felt like I was getting my €4 worth, you know?
Yeah.
To get pre-shamed by an opera lady who's like,
well, you're just getting the full German experience.
The fucking riffraff. We're gonna have to corral you. We know your type. We know the pores are gonna start hooting and spitting on the floor. Don't do that here, okay? This is the opera house.
Try not to let your open sores distract from the show, okay?
If you need to fart, go into the back and hit yourself with a hammer till you die. Just do it quietly.
The aristocracy is here tonight. We don't need you messing this up for them. So just keep it down.
They're trying to have a good time. We're putting up with you. I mean, we were definitely like the second-class citizens in the opera house, but it was fine because it's like, well, these fucking idiots paid €200 to sit down in a tux, and I'm standing here in a t-shirt and jeans for €4. Mm-hmm. My breath still smells like fucking sausage. You know what I mean? I didn't shower today. My hair looks like shit. I'm just sneezing into my hand and wiping it on like the banister. I like the disparity. I like to see the blue bloods, you know.
Mm.
Anyway, okay, so the ballet starts, and again, I didn't know it was a ballet at first, but it starts in like the orchestra. The band starts playing like a tune, and then the curtain lifts. And it starts with this guy, you know, he's in tights. He comes out in tights, and already it's like, haha, a guy in tights, you know. Yeah. I kind of wanted to nudge the person standing next to me, like, huh, look, the guy's wearing tights. You think they did that on purpose?
Just all the way in the back, standing up in the balcony. Bah, he's wearing tights.
This guy comes out, you know, he's wearing tights, and on the stage, he like knocks on a door of a house, but this fancy guy comes out. He stops him like, halt, do not knock on the door to this house. And this is all like non-verbal. So they like do this like weird little dance thing where it's kind of like, do you promise not to knock on the door? And he's like dancing.
So they do a shimmy.
I don't know how to describe it.
You're doing a shimmy.
They're doing this like very advanced shimmy, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
And Mr. Fancy is like, do you promise not to knock on the door? And Mr. Regular is like, okay, I'm not going to knock on the door. And then Mr. Fancy leaves, and Mr. Regular kind of looks at the audience like, I'm going to knock on the door.
You're crazy.
So he knocks on the door, and this girl comes out, and Mr. Regular is kind of like, let's do ballet together. And then he like kind of starts trying to dance with her, and she's like, I don't want to do ballet with you, Mr. Regular.
I'm Mr. Fancy's gal.
And then she like goes over and she plucks a flower. You know, she leans down and plucks the flower with her whole body. It's like very like choreographed and stagey looking. It's like funny. And then she does like a he loves me not thing. She's like plucking the flower.
Mm-hmm.
And she counts the rest of the petals, and she's like, damn, I guess he's not going to love me. And so she throws the flower down. This is what happens next. It's incredible. Mr. Regular picks up the flower. He rips off one of the petals, and then he goes up to the girl, and he's like, count it again. Oh, look. it turns out I do love you. And then they do ballet together. It's like a cartoon. It's like literally like Looney Tunes.
Yeah, and you're sitting there like all the aristocracy of Austria are just watching, and you're like, I hope they drop an anvil.
Right. Mr. Fancy like casually strolls by in the background while the guy and the girl are dancing, and he like puts his hand on his head. He's like, ah! And then he dances off. And it's like,
God damn it, no! It's exactly what I didn't want to happen.
It's just funny as fuck. I think everyone should go to a ballet because it's funny as hell.
Now, were people laughing?
No, like I was kind of laughing when the guy, Mr. Fancy, came out and put his hands on his head, but nobody else thought it was funny.
Everyone else is like, all the aristocracy were identifying with Mr. Fancy. They're like, look at her. Defiled by a commoner.
I don't understand. She's Mr. Fancy's property.
all the Austrian aristocrats are like crying. They're like, oh, Mr. Fancy, your plight is ours.
But it's like Looney Tunes, and it's like really exacerbated by the fact that the music sounds like Looney Tunes, and in fact, I think they use the same music for Looney Tunes. So that's my signifier. That's what it means to me. Is I hear this like whimsical, jaunty music, and these goofy guys doing these poses, and I'm like, Looney Tunes. I don't think of ballet. I've never seen a ballet before this one.
Our brains have been destroyed by America. You go to a ballet, it's Looney Tunes. You see an old building. I wish this was a Chili's.
I can't help what I am. I am's what I am's.
As the Looney Tunes would have said.
Right. And so anyway, like, you know, at first the ballet is like really funny and cool, and I'm like, I'm kind of into this. And like I'm kind of imagining the rest of my life where I'm into ballet and I become a huge ballet guy and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But then like it gets to this point where a bunch of fucking random characters just come out from behind the woods and they all start dancing and shit. And it lasts for like 20 minutes. Like one guy will dance and then another person will dance. And it's like, wow, this sucks. Like this part is boring as shit. Get back to the funny story.
There was one ballet, Derek. This is, I think, in the 1800s, but it caused like this huge riot in Paris. I don't know. I think it was like too controversial or something, which is odd to think about. It's hard for me to get that worked up about. But apparently, like a bunch of people in France saw it, and they rioted. So what I'm trying to say is,
ballet is famously very ableist.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, could you make out the story? Like, could you tell what was happening in the plot?
Again, like, at first I could. I thought it was, like, just this funny thing. But then, like, halfway through, at the end of Act 1, the lady dies or something for no reason. She basically, like, she starts acting, like, weird, and then she dances weird for a while, and then she falls over and she's dead. And then Act 2 is the guy who goes to the graveyard and he dances with her ghost for, like, an hour. And it's like, what the fuck happened? They couldn't think of an ending? You thought you just dance around with ghosts? Like, this sucks.
Cool.
So I didn't really understand the story. And I looked it up on Wikipedia. The ballet is called Giselle. And I guess it's one of the most famous ballets. And
I never heard of it.
I know, right? Like, famous to who? Nerds? And I guess the whole second half of the ballet is supposed to be about, like, there's these evil ghosts and they want to kill the guy she loves. But then she does a dance and then forgives him and protects him from the evil ghost. And it's like, again, this is nonverbal, so I didn't get any of that. I just thought he was dancing in the graveyard. I had no context for what was happening. I think the problem with ballet is that they make it look easy.
Yeah.
They're always dancing around the stage and like they're on tiptoes and doing spins and shit. And they make it look effortless. And that makes it boring because you just see them execute a bunch of perfect moves. And I think if you want people to be interested in ballet, make it look hard. Like if it's hard, make it look hard. You should have a bunch of like if all the guys were overweight and they grunted in pain every time they did a spin and a jump, maybe I'd be more impressed. Instead, it's just a bunch of fucking elf people and they're doing all these amazing moves and it's like boring. Get back to the Looney Tunes shit.
If I don't see a fat guy in tights, I ain't watching it.
I just kept thinking about how funny it would be, like, if in the middle of all these, like, carefully planned dances, you had, like, an uncoordinated dipshit tripping and busting his head on the stage. Like, fucking bleeding out of his ears. Like, that would be hilarious.
And all the elf people have to help him, you know?
They just dance around him. They're just dancing through his trail of blood.
They dance on him.
That's what they should do. Each show should just have like one guy who doesn't. It's his first ballet he's ever done, and he fucks up. That's a good idea. Comedy ballet.
You should do it, man.
So speaking of like fancy things such as the opera house, I also went to some fancy cafes. Do you know anything about Viennese coffee culture or Viennese cafe culture?
No, actually, I don't think I do.
Okay, so Vienna is like famous for having all these old, beautiful, ornate cafes where you go and you sit, you order a coffee and a cake, and you enjoy it, and you're served by like fucking guys in bow ties. Like it's real snooty shit. It's like a historical thing. Every place you go to like brags like, oh yeah, Freud used to go here. Trotsky went to this one.
That'd be cool if they did what they did in America and they had like his picture on the wall with like the owner, just like Trotsky, like Freud and shit.
His autograph.
Yeah.
And there's all these like Austrian poets and writers and shit. They have like a tradition called coffee house literature. Every cafe claims like a bunch of like famous Austrians who worked there and wrote there. And what interests
you don't
me,
know who drank here? Yeah, Ludwig van Hamsten. He used to write right here. Wow. What did he write? A TV guide.
Roseanne season 4.
He wrote the Roseanne reboot right here.
You may have heard of him. He's racist.
The most racist man in Vienna, we used to call him. Still do. He's right there.
Actually, that's what I thought was kind of interesting about all these Viennese cafes is like they all like claim these like marginal poets and shit, but no cafe claims Hitler.
What a gross oversight.
I'm just saying, like, the guy lived in Vienna.
Did he?
He lived in Vienna for a couple years. Like, certainly he went to some
I don't know that. I don't know as much about Hitler as you do.
Well, let me tell you.
So you've been doing your research, Derek.
Okay, like when Hitler moved to Vienna, he wanted to go to art school, right? This is well known.
Yeah. Is it? I've never heard of it.
I'm just drawing upon my vast personal interest in Hitler.
Yes, I know he went to art school and he sucked. Yeah, okay.
He tried to go to art school, but his test painting was so shitty they didn't let him in.
Yeah.
After he was like not admitted to art school, he basically was homeless because he didn't want to take like a manual labor job because he felt like it was beneath him. So he was just like kind of like crashing in people's couches and shit. He ended up making like a very marginal existence because he would like copy postcards and do paintings of those and sell it to tourists. That's Hitler. And he did this for like 3 or 4 years.
Wow. And then no one ever heard of him again, I assume.
Hitler was like that classic guy that just had to grind it out. You move to a new city, you're like, I want to make it as an artist, man. I'll do whatever it takes. And that was Hitler in Vienna.
He was a starving artist before he realized like being a virulent anti-Semite and forming a fascist party was more of his deal, I guess.
Could have gone either way.
Could have gone either way.
What I like to think is that he went to apply to art school in Vienna, and then like he picked up a brochure and it said, "Do you want to be a genocidal dictator?" And he's like, "Huh, never even thought of it."
It's like it's a poster with like a number. You pull a tab off.
Right. You attend a 6-week-long course, and then you get your degree in genocidal dictatorship, and off you go.
Yeah, like you should have gone and asked the different cafes when they were like, "Yeah, Freud, Trotsky, they all drank here," and you'd be like, "Did Hitler? did Hitler drink here?"
Because this kind of looks like a Hitler kind of place to me.
It's got that Hitler vibe.
Yeah, this. I could see Hitler drinking here. I'm gonna start telling people Hitler drank here. What do you think about that?
Any guy here ever talk about like a pan-Germanic state at all, or anybody like
I'm gonna go on TripAdvisor. I'm gonna say Hitler drank here.
Yeah, they got a picture on the wall and everything. The manager, it's autographed. It's like shaking hands. It's got a big sandwich.
That's Freud. No, it looks like Hitler to me.
That's Sigmund Freud. He founded astrology.
He was one of the first Scientologists.
Sigmund Freud was a big fan of Dianetics.
Oh, but anyway, so I went to one of these fancy cafes, It's kind of like, my experience at the Opera House, in that I go in there and I'm wearing like basketball shorts and my pits are sweaty. I've been out walking all day and I'm like looking around like a dipshit, and a guy in a bow tie comes up to me and he's like, "Yes." I'm like,
and you're like, "No."
Can I get a coffee? Can I sit down or whatever? He leads me over to this table and he sits me next to like these 4 people. There's like a middle-aged couple and like an old couple. And I can tell by just glancing at them that they're like old money. Fancy. They've got like British accents. The old guy's wearing a beige suit. The women have jewelry, that kind of shit.
So they look like people from like that would be on the Titanic. That would be comfortable being on the Titanic.
I wish they were on the Titanic right now. Well, I overheard the middle-aged woman talking about a party she went to, and she was like, "Oh, it was a ball." So immediately I started listening. Because I know she doesn't mean like it was a ball, like it was a good time. She meant like I went to a ball. It
was a ball.
Yeah.
It was a ball. It was a real ball.
Yeah. And she said there were all these protesters fussing about, trudging around in boots.
Trudging around in their combat boots.
And so I was just
at a white tie ball gala.
I put my book the fuck down and I was like, I am not reading my book. I am listening. So like their conversation was just like in a totally different world. Like, to give you an idea about stuff they were talking about is like they were talking about the royal wedding in a way that was like
going to it.
Well, like, yeah, we're personally invested in this.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, I guess I can announce this on this podcast. And I'm not saying this is a fact, so this can't be used as libel.
Come on, dude.
I'm not saying this is a fact, but the aristocrats seated next to me seem pretty confident that the prince has a mistress.
Allegedly.
They seem confident about it. It's not my statement. But, yeah, they were just like, oh, yeah, and his mistress, how does she feel about the wedding?
Did they seem to know these people, the royals?
I don't know. See, I don't know if it was like gossip because they're all of the same class, or if it was like gossip because they know the fucking people. And you know, since they're aristocrats, they have like this confidence in the way they talk.
Listen, I think if anything has taught us anything the past few years, it's that rich, powerful men are extremely loyal. They certainly wouldn't just,
To me, it sounded like the way they were describing it is everyone in that family cheats on each other, and it's kind of a weird official thing.
Allegedly,
there's kind of like an official mistress that this guy has.
Allegedly, they do that.
Allegedly, this mistress is like a newer mistress, and so she's not as used to it. And that's why they were concerned about the wedding, because they didn't want the mistress to feel bad.
I wonder who's allegedly fucking the queen.
Allegedly.
I wonder who's allegedly fucking Prince Philip. Jesus. You're like uncovering so much. You're just hanging out with Viennese aristocracy, getting the deets. Allegedly.
It's like amazing. I wish I could have followed them around all week, because they were just saying the most incredible shit. Like the older guy said... I wrote this down. He said, true-bred aristocrats are fucking assholes. That's how he laughed. But the grandchildren of new money are quite agreeable. And I was like, what? The grandchildren of new money? I had no idea. I was like, you're new money even if you're the fucking grandchild of somebody that's new money? These guys are... So these people are like well entrenched. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also they laugh like that.
Well, I think that family
I never
went
heard
down.
that shit in the wild. I thought it was something from cartoons.
Yeah. Well, I think the family really went downhill after the Second Prussian War.
Dude, yes, that's exactly the thing. They were talking about property they've owned since the 18th century. And they were literally using terms like 18th and 19th century to talk about things that happened in their family history. What?
See, that's the kind of shit that kind of makes me like the elite ruling class of America. It's just the fact that they're like,
They're all
fuck it.
crass
They're all crass,
sociopaths.
gaudy shitheads. It's like, yeah, it's just like, and I think of like rich people here. I just think of some guy in Dallas with like 2 huge McMansions, and like he turned his car into like a floating device for his pool and shit.
Right.
It's like it's not this fucking like. Yeah, I don't talk to them anymore. They didn't marry a niece in the 15th century. I don't think I want to
Right.
associate with them.
It was just so stereotypical because yeah, when someone's rich, I more associate them with the like I'm just gonna spend a shitload of money in a gross way on stupid shit. I'm gonna have like a KFC built into my shed or something.
Yeah.
But I never hear like somebody talking about their family's assets and going out on the yacht around the lake, And I had this. I wrote down a sentence because the older guy started saying something, and the fact that he would even talk about this was very interesting to me. The older guy said, "I had a dream last night that I spoke to Edmund," and the other 3 people were just like, "Oh, really?" They were like nodding, like, "I can't believe it." And he said, "In this dream, it was very interesting. I was speaking to Edmund, and Edmund said, 'I never filed the accounts.'" And there was just a pause. Like they all wait. they all ruminated on that for a moment.
Accounts?
I don't know. Like
he said accounts?
Edmund didn't file the accounts, but then he was like, but of course it was only a dream.
Cool.
Oh, fuck,
so
I can't believe it.
You like scooting closer as this conversation happened. He's like, "What happened next?"
Right.
Tell me what Edmund said.
Fuck, dude, did you tell Edmund? The older couple asked the middle-aged couple, "How are the kids?" And the middle-aged couple said, "Well, they do give us some worries. Our daughter is getting into film." They're talking about they're like she's going to film school and they're gonna have to like give her a bunch of money to like film shit. And I want to be like, your daughter's stupid.
It doesn't matter if she's rich, Derek. You know what I mean? What's going to happen? You're going to see their daughter when you go back to LA and she's going to be trying to break in.
Well, that's what they were talking about is like they were saying basically you have to throw a lot of money at this if they ever are going to be successful. And they were talking about like different premieres that she was going to and they were
Hell
like yeah, sometimes she can't get into the parties because she hasn't made any films, but most of the time she can get in. And it's like, what the fuck?
You're over here, you're fucking like trying to get your scripts read and just like some fucking Viennese shithead. It's just like, I haven't done anything or made any movies, but can I hang out? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you're an heiress, aren't you? Hang out. Everybody wants to hang out with an heiress. We don't give a shit how dumb you are. The fact that you haven't made any movies, that's secondary, okay?
It's like, what films have you done? Oh, I've been thinking about doing them. Oh, that's so beautiful and impressive. Thank you.
You're pure and you're innocent and you're hired. Yeah, they were like literally saying like, yeah, she's trying to go to the Oscars, so we'll see if that can happen. And it's like,
it will.
What?
It will happen.
I wrote down some random words that came up in conversation, but I don't remember the context. Saint Sebastian, Greenwich, Umbria, and the phrase I first met Eunice in 1984 in that flat.
You say them really quick. It's like an aristocrat's having a stroke.
When the old man's phone rang, like his ringtone was literally like a violin concerto. It was like
it'd been funnier if like an actual violinist came up and started playing, and then a guy in a tie walked up and was like, "So you have a phone call."
I felt like I was next to like fucking actors. I feel like somebody planted them there to like make this feel like a snooty Viennese coffee shop. But no, like these people really exist and they control us. They control the world. It's incredible.
Isn't that weird when it's like so just right there? Like that would be mind blowing. It's like the ruling class. It's always of course, but you don't when you actually see it. You know what I mean? And they're just like.
It's a bit spine tingling, and like I would never see it otherwise.
Yeah.
In a way, that's kind of I guess what's cool about Viennese cafe culture is like it's a meeting of the high and the low. You know, you've got all the aristocrats that still come there because they feel like some allegiance to the stupid history of the fucking place. I'm just there to eat chocolate cake.
You've got your and one basketball shorts, a Hanes tee.
I just wanted to like turn to them and be like, "It's not going to last, lads. The queen's head is coming off. She is." It'll be a common beggar
storming
man
the
sitting on the
barricades,
throne.
we is.
I'll be using the queen's head as a loo, I will.
We're all take our head off, we is.
Princes and princesses toiling in the field, digging up turnips.
Freshen your drink, governor.
I just like, the entire time I was sitting there, I was hoping we would have some reason to talk. In that way, I don't know, like, I just wanted them to be like, "Oh, so what brings you to Vienna?" And I could be like, "Well, this is the first time I left the Ozarks, but my grandma died in a mass shooting and left me money my grandma left me money from her class action lawsuit she won. The pills for her obesity turned out to make her more obese. So
Graham went to Jesus after she slipped on that hot dog at that gas station.
I figured I got to see what this Europe's all about, so I guess after this I'll go home and take care of my kids and get back to working at the tire shop. But my real passion is breeding snakes. Breed them and release them. That's my philosophy.
If you love something, let it go, and I love snakes, goddammit.
I just wanted to be like the most crass, shitty version of myself next to these people.
You should have done like really hammed it up and been like really tried to like phone like pretend to be one of them and be like try to get into the conversation. You just answer your phone. You're like, yeah, Jeeves. Oh, you just finished counting the gold bars? Oh, okay. Still a shit ton. All right, thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh, is the castle dirty? You know what? Just tear it down. I got too many castles, and I'm about to go. I'm gonna go ride horses in the ocean, and turn to them and be like, "Don't you guys like riding horses in the ocean and doing other fancy stuff?" I'm gonna take a bunch of caviar and smear it all over my body like sunbathing lotion.
I filled this turkey baster with caviar. I'm gonna dump it on my head. You know, like we do. Am I right?
I'm gonna go get a mercury enema later. Us fancy people, right? Right? Us fancy people.
Sometimes being a rich aristocratic noble sure is tough, eh, gang? So you want to hang out later?
I love my great grandfather, the inventor of Germany.
Yeah, that's right. It's Derek von Brauhaus.
Derek von Nokia. I'm just like you. Yeah. Look, I have a scarf. That is clearly a fast food wrapper. No, it's a scarf. It's around my neck, isn't it?
So you're dripping grease and mustard on your and one basketball shorts.
You gotta help me. I traded lives with the poor man, and he's gone and fucking taken all my assets, and people think he's the real me. You gotta help me.
Listen, Haley's Comet's coming. I gotta get on it.
Now we can make this thing, but we all gotta die tonight.
Good times hanging out the Viennese aristocracy.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But I will say this about Viennese cafe culture. I went to a couple of these fancy places. 3, I think. Mm-hmm. And the coffee there is not very good.
Damn, owned. All right, how good?
It's just not.
What's the drink of choice amongst the Viennese?
It's like diner coffee.
Damn. That's fucking brutal, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, too, about diner coffee is it's good when you're eating it with, like, greasy eggs and shit, but it doesn't go as well with, like, these fancy, tasteful desserts. So, like, a big drink in Viennese coffee is called the Einspanner, and what that is it's espresso, like, not good quality espresso, the kind of espresso that you wouldn't want to drink by itself, and it's topped with about half a glass of whipped cream. I understand why people thought this was fancy in like 1830 or whatever the fuck, but right now, to me, that just signifies shitty coffee. And it is. It's not very... it's not that good.
It's coffee with whipped cream? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's just espresso and whipped cream.
Oh.
And I had that once, and I was like, well, this ain't good. Why did I pay $7 for this? And then the next time I had like a normal coffee, and that was not good. That was even at a different place. I don't know if like the tradition is that the espresso is supposed to be bad, or it's supposed to be burnt, or it's supposed to like taste like shit. I don't know if that's the tradition. That might be part of the history, but my theory is that Viennese coffee shops have no fucking idea how to make coffee taste good.
It's probably true. I mean, I didn't get the same feeling I got when you started talking about egg coffee. I still think about egg coffee. I want to try some egg coffee.
Egg coffee is delicious. And actually, okay, in some Viennese coffee shops, like the new ones, you'll get good espresso and good coffee because it's just like, it's the same the world over. Third wave coffee shops, they care about giving you a good espresso. But these classical, historical style Viennese cafes, not so much. I do recommend that if you're in Vienna, go to these places. They look nice. You get to hobnob with the blue bloods. Their cakes are good. Their coffee is crap. That's all there is to it. I don't know what Trotsky was thinking.
Yeah, I like to imagine Trotsky was like, damn it, I'm going to get that fucking Stalin and those meddling kids too, just fuming in a Viennese cafe.
No, I think at the point he was after Stalin, he was fuming in a Mexican taqueria.
God damn it, I'm going to get that Stalin. More taquitos, Jorge. Keep them coming.
Let's see, what shit did I do? I went on like a walking tour, and during the walking tour, it was like a classic, walking tour, where we saw the old buildings and shit. Except they were walking us through like the old town with all the tourist shit. So when we were walking by H&M, and it was like, look at this cathedral, and I'm kind of looking at H&M like, I need some pants. But during this walking tour, I overheard this girl talking about being a digital nomad. So I started.
Did she say that? Did she use those words?
Yes. I would never misquote somebody on my podcast.
I'm a digital nomad.
But it was funny because she was talking about how her digital nomad gig is that she like teaches kids online, like on her webcam, on her computer, and she teaches kids in Lithuania and China. And she was talking about it, and she was like, yeah, it's great. You can travel and everything, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, man, but I hate kids. She was like, I hate when I turn on the webcam and they're all over the room and I have to yell at them to sit down, and then they turn off the speakers so they can't hear me.
That fucking rules.
That is so funny.
I'm glad that kids have that rebellious spirit. I mean, God, if all my teachers
you can't get
were
them to listen to a fucking laptop.
Yeah, if all of my teachers...
It's easy enough to ignore a teacher in person, right?
That is the best skill that you get out of like your 12 years of having to be like indoctrinated in school, is like you get the ability to just shut down for an hour and look like you're still there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You leave your body and you come back and you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
You got to imagine being a kid in Lithuania and you have some fucking stranger trying to teach you English. It's like, I am muting you. You are inside of a box. You cannot hurt me.
Don't mute the laptop. No. I'm going to mute it.
And then she was talking about like having to, because there's a time difference and she's been traveling and stuff. She's like, yeah, sometimes I have to get up at like 5 a.m. Other times I'm at 2 a.m. and I'm teaching English, And for a second I was like, haha, that's very funny or whatever. And then I was like, but I do the same thing with old Kevin. So I guess it's not that funny if it affects me.
Well, Derek, you're a bit of a digital nomad. I know you've described yourself like that several times to me.
A lot, yes. I don't look down on people that work. I'm not a fucking look.
You've been hanging out with those Viennese aristocrats for too long, I think.
If you can travel and work, I think that's the best. That's awesome. But if you do that, don't call yourself a digital nomad because you sound like a dork. Okay? So that's the only thing. Just don't use that term. You can do everything else the same. Just don't call yourself a digital nomad. It makes you sound like a geek.
I hate nerds.
Anyway, so after the tour, I went down to the river because I heard some music wafting up from the river Danube. Is it Danube? Doesn't matter. I'm American. I go to the river. I hear some music, and there's like a river festival happening. And I kind of wander up through the crowd, and there's this band playing, and it's an Austrian band, and it's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of like 90s trip hop mixed with Block Party.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it was like good, you know. It had some like energy. There was like some dark beats. It was a little moody. There were like all the Austrians were there. There was like there's a woman in her 60s like going way too hard. She had like gray hair down to her ass, and she was like rubbing on people.
Cool. Was she crumping?
She was dancing like how you would dance at concerts in the 70s.
So like a lot of finger pointing in the air, like
her body looked like a slinky. She was like grooving. She was grooving on this like trip hop sounding music. And then there was like, I was looking at her, not in a sexual way, but I was looking at her, and there was a guy with like a gray beard who's like older and standing like 2 steps behind her with his arms crossed and scowling. And I was like, that's the husband.
Do you have to groove like this? Yes, I have to groove.
Anyway, at the end of their set, by the way, the name of the band is called Sofa Surfers.
Cool.
At the end of their set, there's like a long outro. They're playing music, but the singer's like talking, you know? And the singer is like making some kind of political statements. Yeah, but I can't really hear it, so he's kind of like, fuck blah. And everyone's like, yeah. He's like, fuck blah blah. And everyone's like, yeah, fuck blah. And so I'm like cheering also because I'm like, yeah, fuck them, fuck that. And then after a second, he says, diversity, and everyone's like, yeah.
Crickets.
Anyway, I hope he was saying diversity is good, but he could have been saying fuck diversity. I'm not really sure.
He said fuck diversity for sure. You were at a far right trip hop concert.
It was cool to just walk into like a show, immediately feel like I'm in a dictatorship because a guy on stage says some shit. I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. Everyone's cheering, me too. There's an old lady grinding on a 17-year-old. Fine, I'm into it. So I have an Airbnb in Vienna. Mm-hmm. And I found out, someone told me, the travelers I met actually, that my Airbnb is in the quote-unquote brothel district.
Oh.
So here's the thing is, okay, I didn't know Vienna had brothels, but apparently they're well known for their brothels. And interestingly enough, not only is my Airbnb in the brothel district, but
it's in a brothel.
If you look on the website... I didn't realize I was working at a brothel. I thought those guys liked me. It turns out that most Airbnbs, if you look on the website, are in the brothel district. What's that about?
Yeah.
But they told me this interesting thing about brothels in Vienna, and I think you'll find it fascinating too. They are legal, and not only are they legal, but the brothels often have... standard rates, like monthly rates, where you'll pay basically a subscription, like 100 to 200 euros, and you can go as much as you want. like Netflix.
Is this some type of brothel startup?
Right? Isn't that fucking bizarre? That's like the most interesting thing I've ever heard. They were telling me like people have
brothel. We wanted to change the world. The old guard, they wanted to charge each time. We were the first to do subscription.
I imagine the startup called Brothel, but like it doesn't have the E.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going for. Brothel.io.
Right. So apparently there are dudes in Vienna that just have like a brothel budget, and it's like paying part of your rent. And I just imagine like fucking, oh, it's like week 3 of the month. It's like, I've only been to the brothel once. I am not getting my money's worth. I have to go every day for the rest of the month.
The last end of the month is just a line of dudes because it's like Netflix. They're just like doing stuff they don't even want to do. They got to get the money. How was the brothel district?
I did not go to the brothel.
Oh, I know you didn't. I'm just saying, like, how was it?
But the brothel district? Well, I think like a side effect of brothels being like legalized and regulated is that I had no fucking idea I was in a brothel district. Because it's not like they're spilling onto the street in any way, you know? They're just like in the buildings. And there are these like giant old buildings. There could be a ton of shit going on there, and I would never have any idea. So it didn't feel like a brothel district. I mean, you go downstairs, there's the cafe, there's the wiener cart or whatever, and it felt like a normal place where people just live and have a good time. You know, there are children wandering around. So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's good.
So you're pro-brothel.
I don't want to come out as pro-brothel or anti-brothel. I think it's fine. More than anything, I just think like the standard rates thing is very interesting. And that's the main thing I wanted to talk to you about. Like, I wanted you to know that there's a subscription model for brothels. I mean, there's got to be a guy like in San Francisco that's pitching this right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that like whole article. Apparently, like San Francisco, all those rich tech dudes just have giant like orgies.
Man, I wonder like how big your IPO has to be before you get invited to one of those.
Well, yeah, like there was like some article about it, and it was just like, yeah, it's like everyone they're like interviewing the women that went to them. It's like, yeah, all these guys are just living out their like high school sexual frustrations by like having orgies and being like, yeah, I'm fuckable now or something.
Even at the height of like my teen hormone days in high school, I never wanted to have an orgy.
Yeah. It doesn't sound that
I would
fun.
never want to be at a sexual event and then look across the room and see my business rival's balls slapping against a 19-year-old's ass.
There was one time where I was at some event and someone was like, yeah, there's this sex-positive orgy. And I was like, in my head, I was like, it'd be funny to go to a sex-negative orgy. Put your clothes on.
You just walk in and there's like a casserole in the middle of the room and everyone's sitting there with their clothes on looking upset. And it's like, oh, I'm in the right place.
It was funny because one of the dudes at the party was like, can I come? Can I come to the orgy? Like that. Like, oh, I'll be really? Good. I know all the right protocols. And I was like, this fucking sucks.
Really? He was trying to get invited to the orgy?
Yeah. It was really funny.
How did he do? Did he get invited?
I don't know how it turned out because it was funny because like one of the guy who's talking to was talking about the orgy. He was like one of those guys who thought he was like extremely cool. You know what I mean? So he was like, I don't know. I mean, I'll have to pull some strings about it. And he was like, oh, I'll be good at the orgy. And I was just like, man, I fucking left.
Come on, guys. Like, I want to go to the orgy too. Come on.
Let me go to the orgy.
Please.
I promise. I know how to do all the moves.
I don't even gotta fuck anybody. I'll just be over here. I'll just be in the kitchen. I won't even fuck anybody, please.
They were saying though that it was funny because like one of the rules was like, yeah, you have to like participate. You can't just hang out. And I was like, oh, that would be really funny if you showed up and just stood around at the orgy.
Yeah, it's like Fight Club. If this is your first orgy, you have to fuck.
Well, just imagine a guy that walks in with like, you know, a shirt. He's got like one hand in his pocket, the other one's got a beer, and he's just like, "Hey."
I'm a big time orgy fan here. No, I don't fuck, but I'm interested in the technique. I'm interested, you know, just in the sport of it.
It's like, yeah, that would probably kill the vibe, right? If you just got one guy that's just like standing there.
Got my big foam hand. You just walk up to like two guys fucking a chick, and you're like, oh yeah. Well, she's got her other hand up. Oh, there you go. Oh, nice.
Did you guys see they got pizza rolls?
Oh man, you should go in the living room. I saw a guy fucking a lady just like the. Oh, who's the same lady? Who's the same lady? Sorry. Hi. Oh, speaking of wieners, so I called them wieners. Oh, I was talking about. I said like the wiener cart or something like that.
The schnitzel
Apparently, you are not to call them wieners. You're supposed to call them sausage because Wien is Vienna. Like that's the name, Vienna, and wieners is like people that live in Vienna.
Give me a wiener.
Exactly. It's seen as being a rude asshole. So that's just a little tidbit. If you ever go to Vienna, don't call them wieners.
Don't call them wieners. It upsets me. I'm sorry. Just give me a wiener.
But schnitzel. Do you know what schnitzel is?
It's like fried shit.
Schnitzel is the thing. Like if you read anything about Vienna, it's like you gotta have schnitzel. You gotta try schnitzel, which is like veal that's been breaded and then fried. It kind of looks like country fried steak. And I tried schnitzel at a couple different places, and this is the famous Vienna dish, right? And it sounds like it would be good, but I don't think it's that good.
Is it bland?
It's kind of bland. It's like it's fried meat, but the meat's really thin. It's like pulverized, so it's like kind of shitty meat. And it's fried, but it's kind of too dry. And I feel like if you're going to have fried meat, you want it to be like greasy. You know what I mean? You want it to be like greasy and crunchy. And like, I like a good country fried steak. Okay.
Thank you, by the way, because I'm probably going to go get one after this. Thanks for putting that in my head.
Fuck, dude. I wish I was getting one. Dude, here's the thing. Schnitzel isn't that good. It's not that bad, but it just reminds me of how much better country fried steak is. Because country fried steak is greasy, but the meat is like dark, flavorful meat, and then it's topped in gravy. And so it's just like a beautiful experience. Schnitzel is topped in nothing, and it's just dry fried meat. It's like the worst version of fried meat. In America, we have fried meat. It's called country fried steak, and it's fucking delicious. I don't know how Americans come to Vienna and eat schnitzel and think it's good. Like, I'm sorry. Any diner in America does something similar, but better. And the worst part is schnitzel is like fucking 20 euros anywhere you go. It's way too expensive. And how can this even be like how could this be like a local dish that everyone's proud of if I eat at 3 places and it's not good at any of them? Because I thought that if you have a local dish that's the thing you're proud of, that's supposed to be good in this place, I thought if you fucking go into any place and eat it, it should be really good, right? It should knock my socks off. Instead, I spent fucking 60 euros total on schnitzel. Look, if the first schnitzel I tried was good, that would have been it. But it wasn't, so I tried it again. And that wasn't good, and I tried it again. And it's just like a fucking waste of money and a waste of time. I'm kind of annoyed, because it has this huge reputation. It's like, this dish is not that good. And again, if it's supposed to be a local pride, it should be good anywhere. It shouldn't matter where I walk into it to get it. It's like if you go to Japan, you can get ramen almost anywhere. It'll be good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the local dish. You go to Vienna, I get schnitzel 3 places. It sucks all 3 times, and people go, "Oh, you didn't go to the right place. What the fuck?" I thought it was good. You told me schnitzel was good. How can it be good if nobody knows how to fucking make it? It's not. It's like it's just lame. I'm just annoyed.
Yeah, so that sounds like a thumbs down for schnitzel.
I think this is maybe the podcast's first ever double thumbs down on a dish.
A double thumbs.
A double thumbs down. Here's the thing. Try schnitzel, but you're not going to be impressed because it's fried meat. Fried meat is a low-class dish.
Yeah.
And since it's a low-class dish, it should be made to be quick, cheap, and flavorful. And schnitzel does none of those things. So why the fuck am I eating it?
I've had schnitzel before, actually, in St. Louis, because there's like a brew house nearby, and they made it, and I was like, oh, I'll try it. And I don't remember eating it. So you're probably on the right track with the schnitzel business, because it made no impression on me.
I don't know how anyone could have been to America where they have country fried steak and then go to Vienna and think, oh, schnitzel's good. What? Pay attention. Like, do you not see what this is? This is the same shit you eat in diners, but it's not good. And fried meat shouldn't be hard to do. Fried meat should be good. If you fry meat, that should be delicious. Why is it not delicious? When you go to Japan, you can have like tonkatsu curry, and that's like a piece of pork that they bread and they fry and they serve it with curry, and it's great. Why is it good? Well, you've got the crispiness and the juiciness of the meat, and it's paired with sauce, the curry, very similar to country fried steak. Crispiness paired with a gravy, the sauce. You've got the moistness. You got the wet and the hard. You got all these things come together. Schnitzel, where the fuck's the gravy? Where is it? I'm eating this dry piece of shit. It has like no flavor. Like I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm looking around the restaurant, a crowded restaurant, the most famous schnitzel restaurant I went to. I fucking barely got in. I had to wait for a seat and then sit at a table of strangers to eat this thing that sucked. And I look around and everyone paid 20 euros for this fucking thing. It's like, what are you doing? Why do you guys like this? You guys are wrong. I've never had such a strong feeling about a dish as I have about schnitzel. And I know that after I upload this episode, there's going to be some asshole who's like, hey man, did you try the schnitzel? No, I didn't. I'm not going to keep wasting my fucking money on this thing. It should have been good the first time.
Yeah, you really shouldn't be able to fuck up fried meat.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially, yeah, again, like if it's your national dish, this is the thing you're like, this food best represents who we are. Fuck Vienna.
But I will say, the wiener carts, the sausage carts, sorry, those were good. I liked those.
Yeah.
And I also had, they have this dish, and it's like a pancake. They take a pancake, and then they cut it up into little pieces, and they deep fry it. Delicious.
Now we're talking.
The schnitzel, I don't ever have to have schnitzel again for the rest of my life. So I guess let's just end on that really negative, hateful note.
I think that's great. Fuck schnitzel and fuck Austria.
Well, hold on. I didn't.
No, fuck it. I'm with you. Fuck
I
Vienna.
Never said fuck.
No,
I
fuck
never
it.
said fuck Austria. I never said fuck Vienna.
Get rid of it.
I never said
That's
that.
what I think.
I had a very nice
Austria,
time in Vienna.
you're done.
If
Get
any
outta
people
here.
from Vienna are listening to this, please know that I enjoyed your city very much.
We hate you.
I think the people are lovely, and I think everyone's lovely. The food's lovely. The culture's lovely. Great place. Everyone should move there. It's the most livable place on planet Earth. Go to Vienna.
All
please.
Viennese are dogs. Austria isn't even a real country.
Kevin,
it sucks.
Kevin, shut the fuck up.
They know what they did, Derek.
What's that?
They had a wonderful city, a wonderful country with many, many historic landmarks and beautiful, beautiful sceneries that will captivate and capture your breath and imagination.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Fuck them.
Okay, then you ruined it. You had to ruin it at the end. Let's just cut this off. I don't want to make any more enemies. Schnitzel's great too. I love schnitzel. Okay, I eat it every day. It's great. It's the best dish. I love how dry it is. I love how much money it costs. It's wonderful. Let's just end it.
I love how dry and flavorless it is.
It gives you the same feeling of like eating sawdust, but it costs more. So I love it.